Hey everyone, it's Reilly recording with another all-English episode. I'm recording this on the 7th day of the war in Iran, or at least the war between Iran and America and Israel, and maybe a few other countries at this point. I'm not quite up to date. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about with that, and there's probably a lot to talk about with how it might affect Japan in terms of oil and maybe even like American defense in Japan in the future, like the bases and things like that. But I don't quite think I'm qualified to talk about it, certainly not yet, until maybe some of the dust has settled in what's going on in Iran. Hopefully it ends soon. But I do want to say, yeah, obviously, like, my heart goes out to all the innocent people in Iran and in Israel and all of the Gulf states that have died as a result of this war so far, and there will probably be more deaths before the war ends. So yeah, I don't know. That's something I want to say off the top, because I feel like if I don't say something about it, it would be, I don't know, a disservice or ignoring it or something like that. That being said, that's not what I want to talk about in this episode. I'm going to talk about something much more, I don't know, everyday, much more, regular, I guess. But before I do that, I should say the Instagrams. Mine is Reilly Sullivan XD, and Sota is Ego no Sota. Yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so the thing I want to talk about today is, well, in Japanese it's called Kafunsho. And before I start, I want to talk about the translation there. It's often translated hay fever, which is not wrong. People do sometimes say that in the US, like you have hay fever or something like that. But it's not, I would say it's not the most commonly used phrase to talk about it. Most people would probably say something like seasonal allergies or just allergies. Like, if someone is sniffling, like blowing their nose a lot or something like that, someone asks, "Oh, what's wrong? Are you sick?" They would probably say, "No, I just have allergies." That's probably the way most people talk about it. And certainly the way I talk about it usually, because I have allergies. If you can't tell right now, my nose is a little bit stuffed up. And for me, that tends to just happen in the morning quite a lot. I'm recording this in the morning. I don't think I mentioned that earlier in the episode. But yeah, I tend to get kind of clearer, I guess you could say, as the day goes on. But yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between allergies in Japan and in America. And I'll start with how I grew up with allergies as a kid. So yeah, I had, I guess you could say, pretty bad allergies as a kid in elementary school. I was very often needed tissues, near me because I was, had a runny nose all the time or a stuffed up nose, something like that, pretty frequently. And for me, in America, I felt like it wasn't really seasonal in the same way that it is in Japan. Like, I would probably have allergy symptoms spring, summer, and fall. And not so much in the winter, I guess, but pretty much the rest of the year, I would have a runny nose or something like that. And that was the main thing. A runny nose was pretty much the only symptom I remember having. Just blowing my nose a lot, using tissues a lot. Yeah, and because of that, because I had these allergies, my mom and dad took me to an allergy clinic, a doctor that specialized in allergies, and gave me, I still remember this experience as being pretty horrible. They gave me this allergy test where they had to test what specific plants and things I'm allergic to. And they did that by taking these I don't know exactly how to describe them. They're like these little. They almost look like erasers, like a whiteboard eraser, not like a pencil eraser, like one for a whiteboard or blackboard, right? Maybe a little bit smaller. And they have these tiny little pinpricks on them. Like maybe each one has like 20 little pinpricks, little sharp points. And each one is filled, I guess, with some different chemical from, different kinds of grass or trees or whatever. And so they took these eraser-looking things and they put them into my back, like, I don't remember how many times, like maybe 6 times to test for, so each one is 20 times 6, whatever. A lot. So testing for a lot of different things. It might have been more than 6. It might have been, who knows. But anyway, the way that the test worked was if I was allergic to something, they would put bumps, they would create bumps on my back, like where the allergic reaction was, right? My back would get a bump on it. And it turns out I was allergic to, like, I don't know, most of the stuff. So I had like 100 bumps on my back, right? And they were kind of like, okay, yeah, you have a lot of allergies. You should get allergy shots. So then after that, every like Saturday, usually it would happen after my soccer games. I played soccer in elementary school, and so I would go to a soccer game, and then after that, I would go to the allergy doctor, and I would get my allergy shots, which would usually, I think it was 1 or 2 shots in each arm every week. So, they would go and they would have some chemical related to, whatever kind of grass, and put it in my arm every week. And usually, I think it was definitely at least 1 in each arm every week, but I think it was often 2 in each arm every week. And yeah, basically because of that, as a kid, nowadays I have no problems with needles. When I go to the health checkup and they draw my blood, or if I need to, when I got the vaccine for COVID, that stuff doesn't bother me. I remember other people during the vaccine were a little bit worried about getting a shot, which to me, no big deal. I've had hundreds of shots in my life because of this allergy thing. But as you can probably hear, it didn't really work. I still have allergies. And I think that's probably because I stopped going earlier than I should have. Like, I stopped going before the treatment was complete or whatever. Yeah, or it could also be that the things that I'm allergic to in Japan are different than the things I was allergic to in the United States. Where in Japan, rather, the most common allergy causes are Japanese cedar, sugi, and I guess Japanese cypress maybe as well, hinoki. I mostly hear about sugi, cedar, and especially because I think a lot of the forests in Shikoku are made up of like mostly Japanese cedar nowadays. So I think that's why it's like one of the biggest causes of allergies here. Whereas in the U.S., the most common one that I would hear about was this plant called ragweed. I'm not even really sure what it looks like. Weed tends to mean like it's kind of grass-like, maybe like a little bit taller than grass, and I don't know. So, but I don't know exactly what that is, to be honest, but it's like the thing people always talk about causing allergies. And also sometimes tree pollen as well. Like we have cedar in America too. And also like birch trees would commonly be a cause for allergies. Birch trees have like white bark, but I don't know. Anyway, we don't need to talk too much about tree differences. But yeah, I think because of that, how like I react to allergies, or rather the symptoms that I have to allergies are a little bit different. Like I said, growing up, it was pretty much always just my nose, and now in Japan, I think it's also my eyes are more affected than they were in the U.S. Like I get dry or watery, itchy eyes in the spring, especially. And I think the other difference is that in Japan, it really is seasonal for me. Like I feel like I have pretty bad allergies, like at the start of spring, like now, and also in the fall at some points. But like in the middle period, I think it's not so bad. Now, that could be like subjective, that could be just kind of my feelings about it, because after a winter of not having a runny nose very much, suddenly in the spring it feels extra bad. And then once I get used to it by like the middle of or end of spring and summer, I don't really care anymore because I'm used to it. But I would like to think that honestly my allergies are just worse at the beginning of spring and in the fall than they are, in the middle. And there might be something there, like when the pollen, it's called kahun, right, from the trees first come, my body reacts more strongly, but then once it gets used to it a little bit, it stops having the same kind of reaction. I don't know. That's just a guess. Might be completely wrong. I'm not an allergy specialist, a doctor, anything like that. Yeah. So that's the main difference between at least how my allergies have gone in the States and in Japan. I would say that like both in my like early childhood and now, I was living in like a somewhat suburban area, I would call it. Like, not a city, like, Tokyo or whatever, but a city with nature nearby. And so I think my allergies are somewhat strong because of that. But when I was in college, for example, when I was living in New York City, I had very few allergies, just, I guess, because there were very few plants around, So, yeah, maybe if I moved to Tokyo, it wouldn't be as bad. I wonder if people in Tokyo or Osaka, whatever, feel like they don't have allergies as much, especially if they grew up in a more rural area of Japan. Maybe last, I should talk a little bit about treatment. I guess I already talked about the treatment in terms of like the shots, but now I want to talk about like pills and things you can take like in the moment when you're having allergy symptoms. There's a few different kind of medicines that are popular in the US. I think some of them are also popular in Japan. I've heard people in Japan mention both Allegra and Claritin. Those are, I definitely took them in America. I'm not sure if they're originally American or not. There was another one called Zyrtec that I used to take. Not sure really the difference between any of those three, Zyrtec, Allegra, or Claritin. I think they're kind of the same. They're just like a pill that you take like every day, and it should help with your allergy symptoms. And then there's another one called Benadryl. Benadryl seems like stronger to me. I don't know if it exists in Japan or not, but it like really works. If you can take Benadryl for any kind of allergic reaction, like not just seasonal allergies, but also like maybe if you eat something that you're allergic to, or if you get like a rash, like something on your skin because you touched something you're allergic to, or a bee stung you or something like that, I think you can take Benadryl. And it usually works for like all of that. But the downside or upside, I guess, depending on how you look at it, is Benadryl makes you sleepy. Like it really makes you sleepy. So yeah, like I as a kid wouldn't take Benadryl that much because of the sleepy effects. But I know some people take it like on airplanes if they want to sleep on airplanes. That's how like effective it is as a sleep aid, I guess you could say. But I don't think it's recommended to be taken if you're not having allergy symptoms. The other thing that I used to take as a kid was like this nasal spray. Nasal means like nose, right? Man, I'm really stuffed up right now. Sorry, my voice probably sounds quite bad. But anyway, it makes sense for allergy season, I guess. Sorry. So this nose spray, where it's like a little bottle with where you like kind of stick it, you put it in your nose, and then you press the bottle and it sprays whatever medicine into your nose that is supposed to help, with allergies. I hated it as a kid. Because it tastes really bad, and you would think, oh, you're putting it in your nose. Don't you mean it smells bad? Well, that's true too, but after you spray it in your nose, it would often go back like down the back of my throat or back of my nose, whatever, my sinuses, I guess that is, and into my mouth. And it tasted horrible. I really, really hated it as a kid. I don't know if it exists in Japan. I mean, I think it works pretty well for getting rid of allergies, so maybe now as an adult I would consider taking it again if I could find it here. But anyway, I should certainly, clearly by the sounds of my voice, I should be taking Allegra or Claritin or whatever I can find here, or whatever the doctor will prescribe me. I think that's probably a better way to go. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about allergies. I hope all the listeners, all of you guys, are not dealing with them as badly as I am. I have like tears in my eyes and my nose is stuffy. But like I said, I think after, in the next couple of hours or something like that, definitely by lunchtime, they'll like go away. It's kind of weird, but my allergies are like definitely the worst in the morning, and then they're gone by the afternoon. If anybody else has experiences like that, let me know. I don't know if I really want to ask people to message me about their allergy symptoms, but whatever, you can if you want. Anyway, I should finish up here. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.